Yes, The Marvels is the biggest flop in the history of all cinema, but that's not the whole story. The Walt Disney Company has infiltrated the top 10 worst flops of all time 5 times in just the past 12 months alone. Now we're discussing how this happened. How can Disney fix it? Are they even willing to fix it? And how is it possible that the Disney stock stays where it is? Are investors just absolutely inoculated to failure? Well, we're going to talk about it all right now. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the happiest place on earth. We know you've heard it's other places, but no, it is the WDW Pro channel. And we're so happy because you're here with us. Also joining us is Vash Sky and Jonas J. Campbell, and they are both looking at the same thing I'm looking at, which is an article on thatparkplace.com. This time it is written by me. We don't often do this where I read my own article, but what we discovered was so important that we just had to do this. Disney had 5 of the worst flops in all of history in 2023 alone. The Marvels is just one of many. Now, gentlemen, what I have here is a list that prior to 2023 and leaving out the pandemic years, which I think were unfair to movies, so it's not really fair if you spend $200 million producing a film and it can't go out in theaters, right? So we excluded all of that. So excluding all of that before 2023, here was the list that I came up with for the worst flops in the history of cinema. Now, please note as well that there's some room for argument here. And the reason is because you've got inflationary issues. You also have the issue of, should you put down here the movies that underperformed their expectations? Should you put down the movies that had the biggest losses? Should you put down the movies that had the lowest attendance? And so it's not necessarily, written in stone. But here's what I came up with based on their eras, the top 10. And listen, if you guys want to put Norbit on the list, it's not on the list. You want to put Norbit on there? I'll listen. If you want to put Waterworld, I'll listen. Heaven's Gate from 1980, Cutthroat Island 1995, John Carter 2012, Ishtar 1987,
Ishtar.
The 13th Warrior from 99, Mars Needs Moms from 2011, The Lone Ranger from 2013, Battlefield Earth from 2000, Speed Racer from 2008, and Town and Country from 2001. Now, where does it stand today? Well, here's the thing. We're going to skip a little bit, folks. Make sure you read the entire article. A lot of stuff in here. But if we go down to the bottom and get to the just the summary, I suppose. In 2023, Disney managed to knock 5 flops out of the worst box office failures of all time. In their place are Strange World, Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, The Little Mermaid, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and now The Marvels. 2 of those films, Indy and Marvels, are the top 2 flops of all cinematic history. And it isn't even close. And guess what?
Amazing. That is amazing.
Wish is coming out to lackluster reviews this Wednesday. Now, gentlemen, Wall Street does not seem to be catching on to this quite yet. Hollywood, in the past couple of days, perhaps in the last 24 hours, really seems to be getting it. I want to ask you guys, and we'll start with Jonas, but how is this possibly sustainable that you can make the top 10 worst box office bombs ever 5 times, that you can eradicate what this list looked like? This thing's been running for what, 80, 90 years of cinema?
This is abysmal. And I noticed you included Strange World. So that's a 2022 film, technically, isn't it? But
the reason that we're including is because its box office concluded in the year 2023,
right,
and because we will not have the final tally for Wish, which means that Wish really fairly can't be put on this list for this year.
I'll do you one better. It's also in Disney's financial 2023 because that starts in October.
Even better.
See, we knew all along, everybody. This is painful to think about. Disney does not make money at the box office, generally speaking. They pay for movies in an attempt to build something that is going to, quote unquote, last forever. Whatever they did with Snow White, there's a possibility that Snow White didn't make money. Okay, maybe there's a possibility that Snow White didn't make money. I think it did make money even at 1930s.
You're talking about the original Snow White, not the Snow White coming out soon.
Well, I know we still got to wait till March 2025 for that one now.
Well, quote unquote soon.
Right. what Disney does, and whether or not this was their original business model, they make something that lasts forever, and they're willing to pay more money for something that lasts forever, so they continually refresh their brand, so that they can offer merchandise for the next 100 years, which in about 10 years, I guess, 15 years, we're going to be at the point where Snow White will be 100 years old, and they will have been merchandising that film for 100 years. That's what Disney intends to do here with these films. And so they're willing to spend ridiculous amounts of money to make Force Awakens, which is one of the most expensive films ever made. I think that thing cost north of $500 million when we translated.
That's correct, yes. And your work and Valiant Renegade's work unveiled that, I think, for the first time.
Well, we definitely consolidated it in a way that put it all on one page and really opens people's eyes to how much money Disney is spending on.
For folks who don't know, Jonas, you and Valiant Renegade were able to go into tax documents and figure out exactly how much The Force Awakens cost. That's why I think you are now on the map as one of the top investigative reporters in the industry, and I think that's also why the Disney chief financial officer, who's just come into the company, decided to follow you on Twitter the other day. So Hugh Johnston is, a follower of yours. He may have accidentally clicked on the button, but for those who are listening in from Disney, we're here to help you. Trust us. We're like the doctor who is giving you the bad call and you don't like it, but you need to take the medicine. And I have to say, Jonas and Vash, that when I was doing the video yesterday with Lorne and with Lou's Ghost, and we were talking about the Marvels, and we were trying to come up with what can you say about it? Like, what is there in post-analysis to say about this? It felt a bit like going to the funeral home to go talk about the problems of cholesterol. You're too late. So, it's dead. It's dead, Jim. It's dead. How dead is it? Well, it's dead.
Right. There's no merchandising the Marvels. Absolutely.
No, but Jonas, you're exactly right. And Vash, this is the thing. So Disney creates an entire ecosystem, right? So it's not a movie release. It's an ecosystem. Sure. And so in that ecosystem, let's take Moana, let's take Frozen, let's take Tangled, whatever you want to take.
Right.
These things are released, and so they're supposed to drive all kinds of merchandise revenue and all kinds of cash flow for a decade. Sequels and all of that. Okay, there's nothing for the Marvels. And if you go back to Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, which we should not forget about, I mean, that would have been the greatest flop the worst flop in all of cinematic history, if not for the Marvels knocking it out of the spot.
You're welcome,
Indiana Jones, The Dial
Kennedy. Signed, Kevin Feige.
Yes, and Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, there are no kids playing with indie toys. They put out a whip, right? W-H-I-P, I feel like Stewie, a whip. They put out a whip that the kids are supposed to play with because that's Indiana Jones' tool, right? And it was like a ribbon dancer. What kind of boy wants to go around playing with a brown ribbon dancer? Vash, what has happened that this company has managed to fail so spectacularly in recent history? This was an unstoppable force up until 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh my goodness gracious. In 2016, the worldwide box office for Disney was $7.6 billion, 2017, $5.5 billion, 2018, $7.3 billion, 2019, $13.15 billion. I mean, this company, it just seemed like anything that they would produce was over $1 billion hit. And honestly, these are what these films, at least in 2023, have been budgeted to receive, right, in terms of their box office gross. Quantumania was expected to make over $1 billion. I'm sure Little Mermaid, Elemental, all those guys. And that honestly would have put it back to their average, which was about 8.1, 8.13, somewhere like that. If you look at the averages of those 4 years I was talking about before, and now they're only grossing like 3.4 billion collectively combined right now. Maybe add $1 billion onto that if you add The Way of Water. But I mean, this is really, really bad underperformance. Exhibitor Relations Co. tweeted out that the Marvels had a 78% drop from week to week. That's worse than Morbius, which only dropped 73%.
Well, I mean, so the Marvels opened to one of the lowest numbers we could have ever foreseen.
Right.
And then the lower the number is that you open, the more difficult it is to drop because you have nowhere to drop. And yet it outdid every superhero film in the history of all movies in terms of its drop.
Believable. And here's the thing, the article that you wrote, as good as it is, it even leaves out some other flops, right? So like Haunted Mansion, for example, that had $157 million budget, at least that's what's reported. We can add on maybe $100 million M&A to that as well. Only 114 at the worldwide box office. folks, this is
Don't forget Elemental, Vash.
Yep, Elemental, right? That didn't perform quite well at all either. At least given its budget, which was a little over $200 million. Look, and here's the thing, right? Bob Iger can go on those earnings calls and talk about, oh, we're going to partner up for ESPN, right? Or, oh, we're going to go ahead and merge Hulu with Disney Plus, and we're going to pay $8 billion for that, by the way. But let's not talk about that. $8 billion at least, by the way. They're probably going to negotiate even a higher fee after all is said and done, right? It doesn't matter if nobody wants to watch the content that you produce, whether it's for Disney Plus or whether you send it on the streaming platform, at some point down the line. It doesn't matter. The creatives here are what's really, really bad. And I'll leave you with this quote right here. Seeking Alpha just recently posted an article saying this: Disney's content sales / licensing and other unit, which includes theatrical business, home entertainment, and selling content to third-party services, hasn't seen positive earnings since Q2 of 2022, when Bob Chapek was still CEO.
True that, and I want to key in on some things that you said that are very important. It's not so far off that Disney could have made the list 7 times. In other words, Disney just about dominated the entire list of every flop in the history of cinema. So there's an argument to be made for Haunted Mansion. Elemental legged out to the point that it only lost, $50 million or so. But when we're talking about these other films, we're talking about Ant-Man and Quantumania losing, $75 to $100 million. We're talking about The Little Mermaid losing north of $100 million. We're talking about Strange World losing $200 million.
Right.
And Indiana Jones and the Marvels is worse than that. Valiant Renegade has pegged the Marvels losses at likely $300 million. You could take that out and just set that afire.
Guys, stop making movies. Stop making movies. I know where all the money is going. My goodness.
So, Jonas, let me come back to you, though, because there's a very odd thing happening, and this is why folks come to this channel, I believe, is because we intend to explain entertainment, keep people ahead of the culture curve. There's an argument that is made on the web right now, although I suspect that it is diminishing, that, well, the stock's doing fine, and subscribers to Disney Plus are up. So what are you guys complaining about? You're just boo birds for Disney. That's all you want to do is be pessimistic and negative about the mouse.
Right.
Jonas, what is going on where this can happen? I mean, we've never seen anything like this in Hollywood. Yet the stock is going up and the subscribers appear to be going up. Nielsen ratings show Disney Plus going down. Your thoughts?
Right. Subscribers are that shiny object that they dangle in front of investors to try to get them to believe that the stock is doing well.
Sure.
So that $700 million jump in subscribers, that kind of evens out over the last 2 quarters when you factor in how much they've lost and how much they should have grown. That is not a jump. That is a move to where they should be. And Disney has already signaled that it is going to go back down.
In Q1 of the next year, yes.
Right. And they have said that they're going to raise prices and here's their great strategy. They're going to spend less on content. They're not going to make as much of it. They're going to raise prices on that content on Disney Plus and profit. So just like they're doing at the parks, they're going to be selling a lesser experience at a higher price in hopes that it will be a Veblen good, which are those goods that are overpriced as the business model. It's not going to go well for them. Spending any amount of money above $100 million for a movie that only goes to streaming is a bad market decision. Paying that much money for a movie that loses you money when making it and putting it at the box office and then putting it on streaming is even worse. I'm not trying to be negative about the Walt Disney Company here, but my goodness, guys, stop making $300 million movies. Make some $50 million. Make a Cool Runnings, guys. Make something cheap that is quirky and charming. And then in 15 years, we realize the accents aren't exactly what they're supposed to be, but we love it anyways. Do some of those for a while, Disney.
Make some money.
Make some money.
That would be nice.
Again.
Make some money, please. Go ahead, Vash.
Well, you can't have, like Jonas said, you can't have $300 million loss leaders for your streaming service, right? And that is all in an effort to prevent churn or to get subscribers, right? So we're going to have these really short theatrical windows. So even if something did break out, you cut the legs off right before it has a chance to run. all these really bad practices. And by the way, I got to give this one to Mickey Views, Braden, who does excellent work on this front. So Disney did they did a little bit of an accounting thing here, where they only reference subs for the last 3 months and not year to date, right? So their last quarter, Q4 2023, they posted 46.5 million domestic D plus subs on for D plus, right? The last year's quarter at the same time, so year to date Q4 2022, it was 46.4 million domestic subs. So they only added 0.1 to their subs. And how much money have we spent on this streaming service? How much money have we shifted over to DTC in general in order to make this work? And now we're about to spend $10 billion or so, maybe even more than that, directed towards this whole thing. I mean, this is catastrophic, guys.
Maybe.
I mean, their theatrical just doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe becoming a cultural cudgel that the left uses against the right was not a good idea for a family entertainment company that is dependent on telling timeless tales. Now, the one thing that I will say here additionally is this is a full-on, you can't see it any other way. This is a full-on repudiation of the folks out there who have been screaming, screeching, preaching, and proselytizing that the way forward was to follow the Kathleen Kennedy model. The way forward was to do what Star Wars did, and those who disagreed were in a very small minority. Those who disagreed with Disney's stance on the legislation in Florida, very small minority. It is a full-on, total, absolute, colossal repudiation of everything they have said, and it is time now for folks to just accept that those who have been saying, moderate, come to the middle, Disney, that they have been correct about this, and that's no surprise. But Jonas, I want to ask you, do you think that this should give Disney pause that if they go forward with Star Wars now, because I think that Marvel did what Star Wars did, I just think Marvel made more movies and it gave fans ample opportunity to respond. Star Wars stopped. I think that a Rey movie...
They stopped in theaters. They've been continuously releasing things people aren't interested in on streaming.
It's a fair point.
But
yes, but if they go into the box office again, if Star Wars releases, this could be even more embarrassing. So do you think that Disney should, at this point, re-examine literally everything they have?
If they haven't, yes, absolutely. The answer is yes. Full stop. They should stop. And I don't know what's going on over at that movie studio right now, but they need to stop hiring people that are small indie directors and then using them as meat puppets in order to make these films. They need to hire actual experienced film. Call Robert Zemeckis. See if Robert Zemeckis might do you the honor of making a superhero film, and then leave him alone. Do not call him for 6 months and see what kind of film he has made. I mean, come on, guys.
Didn't he make Pinocchio and they put that on Disney Plus?
Did he make that one? Man.
I think so.
And that one was a promise that it was going to be exactly like the original, except they were going to replace the blue fairy with a black lady with a shaved head. And I don't know, the performance might be good, but I got to say the optics on completely changing the original look of the blue fairy is it raises eyebrows. And I'll leave it at that. They absolutely have to stop what they're doing here. Maybe
should they delay Inside Out too?
They should cancel it, in my opinion. It's
that bad.
Don't make a cerebral one. If you're going to make a Toy Story, make another Toy Story. Okay, make it like Cars 2, where it's, some weird adventure in Japan or across the world where you have the funniest character that you have. Make another Cars movie. Call Larry the Cable Guy. He's a big hit with conservatives. Put him on the red carpet. Remind people of that. Oh, yeah, we got these fun, plucky guys here that they could say literally anything, and it's probably going to be funny to your kids. A few too many poop jokes. We're going to make that piston cup joke again.
Easy now, Jonas.
I mean, seriously, be fun. I don't have enough coffee this morning as we're making this, and I'm just hacked off at the idea that I can't take my kids to see a Disney movie and have it be fun. Guess what? Migration over here, the new movie from Illumination, they're saying, you know what? No fart jokes, no poop jokes. We're gonna make something that everybody can enjoy. So Illumination is even working on this aspect of their image right now. But you know why Minions beats the pants off of a Disney movie right now? Kids enjoy them. They don't think of kids as an afterthought after this 18 to 35 with no kids demographic is the target audience of Wish. And we want to market to you on all these social aspects. And we want to hope that you'll remember that this is the 100-year history of Disney. And you'll forget the fact that this thing is poorly shot everything, as Alan Ng said, is simple, boring cinematography. They need to either make a great artful film or make something that children enjoy. None of this middle of the road milquetoast stuff that is marketed as something that you as a Disney lifestyle influencer have to see. No, just make something children enjoy. Please.
I suspect that what we're seeing, Jonas, is that there are a number of young people who have been hired out of these universities, and they have bought into an anti-meritocracy ideology, and they come into the Disney company. And I think this is happening all over corporate America, but I think we can see it more clearly in a creative corporation. But I think that then when you also simultaneous remove the geniuses who once were the filtration system for you. So let's say a John Lasseter, let's say a George Lucas, when you remove those kinds of geniuses to look at what is being produced and say, wait a minute, this doesn't actually work. You need to do it this way. We're not going to put that in this movie. When you remove those filtration systems, what happens is we get a regurgitation of what these young people have been taught in college. And then I think they start to aim for themselves as the audience with the children as an afterthought. I totally agree with you. I think they're not only self-inserting into the films, they're self-inserting into the audience, into the demographics. And final point, and then I'll hand it to you. I think that's also why you see the Marvels unable to attract its key demographic.
Right.
Less than 10% of the audience for the Marvels was women 24 and under. That was who this film was for. So when you lose that, you've lost it all.
I'm just going to point out here. My kids got on a Wreck-It Ralph kick over the last couple of days. The first one is fun. Rich Moore directed that one. He did a
second one's terrible.
The second one is Disney's attempt in animation of doing a multiverse film, which
I despise the second one.
Yeah,
I really, really dislike it.
Well, I liked it more at the time, and the more I've thought about it, the entire villain of the third act is Wreck-It Ralph's own social insecurities about himself, which is a ridiculous idea for a villain, and it doesn't really sell. And most of the things that my kids enjoy about that film are the silly things where it's all the shiny objects and the Disney princesses in there. I don't know who at Disney authorized this idea that we need to make these great social concepts or these great identity concepts into the themes of our films. I think that you had geniuses who were doing a great job of threading the needle on these kind of abstract things and making them and fine-tuning them until they were something that everyone could understand, like Bing Bong saying, take her to the moon for me. This is something that makes adults weep, and kids don't understand what that is. But it's something that also resonates with adults in a way that is profound. Whereas a giant zombie Wreck-It Ralph made up of 1,000 Wreck-It Ralphs that are writhing there, and I don't even want to think about the implications of this weird zombie horde of insecure Wreck-It Ralphs. They are literally making social insecurity the villain of the film. That does not fly to me.
It's too esoteric, and that's been the case for what Disney's been doing.
And now they're making anxiety the cuddly plush from Inside Out 2. Now, there's a possibility that they could thread the needle there. I don't think they're going to do it because we have a company that focuses way too much on pleasing 18 to 35-year-old adults in everything they do, in the theme parks as well. And they have lost track of the idea that they need to inspire greatness in children and have great songs that speak to the human condition, that appeal to children, but also speak to the larger. They have lost the primary in search of the latter, and that is why they are currently lost as a company. Hire someone who understands it until they can teach you how to figure it out, Disney.
Vash, respond, and then I've got one more question for you, Vash, but go ahead and respond.
Well, Jonas is exactly right. You got to focus on the story in all of us kind of thing, and not just the story of me, right? You hear a lot of these creatives get on stage or conduct, be conducting.
Right.
These
Wish
interviews.
is an activist movie, and they're all very proud of that. By the way, in the private screenings, very proud of Wish is an activist film.
And it's like, oh, well, I want to tell my story. I want to tell my story. And it's like, okay, yeah, but you can't be given a 4-quadrant budget to tell your story. That doesn't work. You either make an A24 film for $15 million, or you do something that appeals to as wide a gambit as possible, just like Jonas was saying here, if you're going to be handed anything above 100, 150, $200 million. That's just how that business works. When was the last time you heard a creative at Disney talk like John Lasseter, for example, who was very mindful of the public sentiment, right? Or understood what the audience was looking for. I think of James Cameron, for instance, right? He's always talking about how an audience will receive this on kind of a wider macro level right there. We just don't get that anymore from the creators at Disney. This is the single biggest thing wrong with this company right now, is that they just simply don't have anybody at the company right now applying that filter, like you said, pro, or having that kind of wider audience in mind. Not just the ones in North America, by the way, but worldwide, right? South America, Asia, and all that. That keeps that audience in mind when producing these films or creative works. We just don't see that anymore, and that's a big issue.
And Vash, you are the recipient of the final question. What we have seen is that in 2019, you brought these numbers out, so you get to answer for them. In 2019, Disney was operating as if they were the best marathon runner in the world. Today, they are crawling. They are almost completely stagnant. They can't move forward. They don't seem to know how to run any longer. What do you think was the impetus? What was the first start of this? When did we see it? Why has Disney suddenly gone completely incapable?
Well, this is really interesting. Bob Iger was made the head of creative, right, for 2020 and 2021. That's something right there. Look, I think when John Lasseter was booted out of the company, I think that had really long-ranging implications for the company. Didn't feel it quite at first, right? A lot of those movies that were coming out that had maybe a little bit of his influence, they were able to skate by. Obviously, you had some big franchise movies as part of 2019. So you had Avengers Endgame, Frozen 2, The Lion King, so forth, right? That people were necessarily anticipating to see, and all that. Then, obviously, Disney Plus gets launched. That streaming era, takes hold. That's going to cut into your box office, but not, I would say, significantly to the point where these things aren't profitable anymore. They just stopped connecting with the audience in a kind of a broad way. Can I tell you where I think that
disconnect happened, Vash?
Sure.
I think the point where they stopped connecting with the audience was The Last Jedi, when they decided that the audience did not know and that they could force the audience to believe whatever they said was the official narrative. I think it's been going on since then, although there may have been some precursors. And folks, if you enjoy content like this, well, you need to be checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget that we will have a major announcement about thatparkplace.com. We are preparing to make this the premier location for all of your pop culture news and analysis. We'll have the announcement today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time if you're watching this video at the time of release. We're very, very excited. We are not overselling what is going to happen. We are looking forward to making that announcement, and a press release will be given for all of you out there. Also, Jonas J. Campbell and Vash are the co-anchors of the YouTube channel, That Park Place. Gentlemen, what do you have coming up this week?
We have a massive episode of That Park Place Live where we'll be talking about everything the Marvels and Wish, and also some Hunger Games. And we're going to be discussing a little bit about the C-suite looking into us and anything else our fans might be interested in here. Of course, we will also be discussing a little bit of the fallout from this evening's live stream. If you're watching this on Monday the 21st or Monday the 20th and Tuesday the 21st, you might want to come in and see how we're dealing with how things have changed over here on That Park Place.
Things are about to change indeed, and for the much, much better. We're looking forward to it, folks. Make sure you bookmark That Park Place as well as go to That Park Place on YouTube and subscribe. Vash, we can also find you in some other spots. What are you up to?
Well, not only am I the co-host of That Park Place, right, with Jonas J. Campbell, definitely subscribe, but I'm also doing stuff with Theme Park Wizard as part of a new channel, Theme Park Universe. We talk about all things theme parks, but a little bit of in a long form kind of way, maybe about an hour or so. So definitely check that out if you are interested in all things theme parks across the nation.
There you go. Well, folks, we hope you like content like this. If you do, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know where you think this all started. What was the fall of Disney? We would love to know your opinion. You may have some insight that we did not discuss here. And if so, please share. And also check out those comments and see if anybody did have that thought, if you're wondering yourself. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. And if you haven't yet, go buy a turkey.
Clickbait, fraud, drama queen. Ugh, I wish there was a channel that was 5 to 6 minute news reads without the drama, frauds, and clickbait that could accurately let me know the current news, providing my crucial context utilizing all the different That Park Place contributors and creators.
Well, stupid, there is. It's the That Park Place YouTube channel, which will be going live real soon, so make sure you're subscribed, so you can really stick it to the algorithms.
You're joking.
Nope.